let's talk about the fights this weekend real quick. I'm going to mention the one fight before I get into my whole Moses Itauma thing. I made you wait all the way to the end. I'm sorry about that. But Sabastian Fundora is the WBC World Super Welterweight or Junior Middleweight World Champion, and he's stepping in the ring against Keith. He fights one time in 5 years. Thurman, former world champion. And that fight is going to be this weekend. Obviously, it's a PBC fight, so I will not be watching it live. I will watch it the following morning. I don't like to do anything with the PBC, what they did to this sport. But Sabastian Fundora, he's 23 wins, one loss. 15 of his wins coming by knockout. His one loss, he was stopped, and that was against Brian Mendoza. He was stopped via a knockout in the 7th round. It took place in April of 2023. The computer ranks Fundora at number 4. Like I said, he's the WBC champion, so he's not rated in any of the other sanctioning bodies. But both the Ring Magazine and the ESPN's rankings have him at number 2 in the world. He's a southpaw, and if you've never seen him, he's real tall. He's a junior middleweight, stands 6'5.5" in height. He's fought 139 rounds as a pro, which happens to be 36 less than Thurman. He possesses a 65% knockout ratio. He's going to have a huge height advantage, 7.5 inches. And he's going to have an 11-inch reach advantage. It's almost circus looking when I've seen the promos of these two guys with photos next to each other. Sabastian Fundori's got his last 7 fights were all against good opposition, and his record was 6-1. That loss against Mendoza was part of that. But he has wins over Sergio Garcia, Erickson Lubin, Carlos Ocampo, Tim Zhu twice, including the first fight, which was a total bloodbath. He also beat Cordell Booker. But that first fight in 2024, I mean, a bloodbath. I don't even know how you can possibly have let that fight continue. But tall, lanky, awkward fighter. He's got some pop. Now he steps in the ring with the former world champion in Keith Thurman. His record, 31 wins. 23 of those wins coming by knockout. His one loss was against Manny Pacquiao. He's an orthodox fighter, 37 years old right now, 9 years older than Sabastian Fundora. He's 5'9.5", 69-inch reach. I just told you the drastic advantages for both that Sabastian Fundora has. As a champion, well, right now the computer doesn't rank him because he hasn't, surprisingly enough, he hasn't fought in over a year. This is the knock on this guy. All right. At one time he was, in the conversation, he was a champion. And then all of a sudden he made all kinds of excuses and just did not fight. And he was, in my opinion, he just lost it. Currently he's not rated by the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA, or the Ring Magazine. However, the WBC miraculously has him at number 3. He's not ranked anywhere else except number 3 with the WBC. ESPN surprisingly has him ranked pretty high too at number 5. And the IBO's top 100, which is the computer ratings I prefer over BoxRec, is number 3. So, but it's hard not to rank him high when you go by the computer because of the level of his his level of opposition. Because let's face it, he has wins over this was from 2015 through 2019. Robert Guerrero, Luis Collazo, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Josito Lopez, which incidentally both fights were very controversial. Both of those fights were very controversial because many people believe that not only did Danny Garcia beat him, but Josito Lopez as well. He lost to Pacquiao in 2019. He didn't fight again until 2022 when he got a win over Mario Barrios. Then he didn't fight again for another 3 years. He didn't fight till 2025, and that was his last fight against Brock Jarvis. Um, he possessed some hand speed and everything else at one time. He's 37 years old. He never looked as good as he did prior to the Pacquiao fight. And then with all that time off, I just don't think that should even be in the conversation. Sebastian Fundora with a over 7-inch height advantage and an 11-inch reach advantage. He's learned. The one thing I will say about Sebastian Fundora is he's learned how to utilize that. When he first started out, he didn't utilize his height and hand speed because he likes to bang. This guy likes to get in there. He's finally learning a little more about distance, and he's also learning how to utilize that jab. And when you have that much of an advantage, 11 inches, almost a foot more with arm reach. The only thing that Keith Thurman's going to be able to do is charge him. And as long as Sebastian Fundora's lanky body doesn't fail him in terms of tripping over his own feet, this is going to be a boring, one-sided fight. And I wouldn't be surprised if Fundora eventually stops Thurman if he can make it where he's able to hit Thurman at will because of setting up a classic 1-2 with his long jab, following it with his left. Then this fight's going to end by stoppage. Sebastian Fundora is going to win. Okay, Moses Itauma, he's taking on Jermaine Franklin. Now, I told you the title of this show is he as good as people say? I every time I turn around, I see Moses Itauma. Oh, he's the future. Oh, he's the next thing. Jermaine Franklin is going to have to get by Moses Itauma. I mean, it almost seems like people are putting this guy in the Hall of Fame already. And trust me, he doesn't listen. Is he going to be a good fighter? Is he going to be part of the future of the sport of boxing's heavyweight division? Yes, I totally think he's gonna. Of course he's gonna. It's a layup. It's a trick question. But the dude isn't ready now. And if he was, he's calling out Usyk. I mean, he has no business calling out Usyk. Moses Itauma, 13-0 with 11 of his wins coming by knockout. But let's be real. Please, boys and girls, look at his record, because his best wins was his last fight against Dillian White in August of last year. He blew away Dillian White, who's like one of the most durable fighters. I mean, it was very fishy, to say the least, in my opinion. Aside from that, I mean, really no recognizable names. The other two big wins versus losses names was Dempsey McKean, a 22-1 fighter, and Mike Balogun, who was a 21-1. All the rest of them were basically walking punching bags. He never has been challenged. Now, is he going to step in the ring and be challenged by Jermaine Franklin? I don't know. I'll get to that in a second. But my point is you can't possibly put Itauma on a pedestal until he has beaten a top guy. Now, by no means do I feel he needs to be rushed. I think that Jermaine Franklin is a good opponent for him right now. But then after that, he should not catapult into a title shot. He needs to fight someone else, like an Andy Ruiz Jr. would be a good fight for him. Somebody along those lines, or even the winner of the fight with what's his face, Miller. Miller's next fight. The winner of that fight. I don't know. The winner of that fight is probably going to get a world title shot. So all I'm saying is Moses Itauma has not proven anything to me, and even beating Jermaine Franklin, he's not going to prove anything. Jermaine Franklin is 32 years old, which is 11 years older than Itauma. He's got a record of 24 wins, 15 coming by knockout, and 2 losses. His only 2 losses, a majority decision loss to Dillian White, and that was in 2022. And then in 2023, Anthony Joshua took him the distance, but beat him. When you look at the rest of his resume, the 24 wins, he's got wins over okay opposition, but no big names. I mean, he beat Jerry Forrest, who most people have heard of, but the other wins by fighters that had decent records, Pave Sauer, Isaac Gutierrez, and Ivan Daicho. They all had records, but how many people really has ever seen them or heard of them fight? The computer ranks them at number 36. He's not ranked anywhere else except, ironically enough, he's ranked at the WBO at number 10 and the WBA at number 10. I think these sanctioning bodies keep a guy like Jermaine Franklin around, ranked in their top 12, just in case they need to get a fighter a W or by a ranked fighter, even though that's not fair to say with Jermaine Franklin because he's only got 2 losses. My point is that when he steps up and fights the better fighters, he usually comes up on the losing end, like he did when he fought 2 better fighters, Anthony Joshua and Dillian White. He's got a 63% knockout ratio. 149 rounds as a pro is a lot more than Moses Itauma. He's 123 more. He's 6'3". He's given up 1.5 inches, and his arm reach is 77 inches. He's given up 2 inches there. Now he steps in with Moses Itauma. Moses Itauma is a fighter that I believe will be in the conversation. Like I said before, he's 13-0 with 11 of his wins coming by knockout. The computer has him at number 15. The WBO, WBA both have him at number 1. The WBC has him at number 3. The IBF has him at number 11. When they're ranked in all the sanctioning bodies, you know what that means? That he could fight for any one of those titles, and they would approve him, except for maybe the IBF because he's ranked below number 10. But Ring has him at 7. ESPN has him at 8, which shocks the hell out of me. I mean, because of what I just said, a win over Dillian White catapults him to being ranked in the top 10 anywhere. I just don't see it. Anyway, it aggravates me. He's a southpaw, and he's got pop. There's no question about it. He's only 21 years old. He's got an 85% knockout ratio, 6'4.5", 79-inch reach. His best wins, like I said, Dillian White. Aside from that, nothing. How's the fight going to go? Well, Moses Itauma is going to win the fight. He's going to win the fight. It's going to be interesting to see how he wins the fight. I would not be surprised. Franklin's not known for knocking people out, and he certainly hasn't fought, and beat top-notch opposition. But we'll get a good idea about Itauma. And what I mean by that is Itauma is going to come out and treat Franklin the way he has with all of his other opponents, including Dillian White, which was shocking, with no respect, and try and end it in 1. I think if Franklin can get him into some of the later rounds, we may see something in Itauma that we haven't gotten to see before. I mean, he did go to distance a couple of times, but now that he's being catapulted into the Hall of Fame, we'll see what happens. Either way, I'm picking Itauma in the fight. How many times have I said the Charlo brothers are frauds? I mean, really, how many times? A lot, right? Well, Jamal Charlo was all set and approved to fight Armando Resendez for the WBA super middleweight title in May. He pulled out. And the WBA has replaced him with Jaime Munguia. It's pretty sad, these Charlo brothers. And, that fight was confirmed to be on the Ramirez Benavidez undercard. So we'll see what happens with that. Resendez is a good fighter, 27 years old only, and he'll be taking on Munguia, who's also young, but he seems like he's been around forever. 45-2 he is now in that one. Finally, I'll just mention that one last time, CES Boxing, they have the North Shore Knockout taking place this weekend at the North Shore Music Theater in Massachusetts. Make sure you get yourself some tickets and use the code Hogan. It's CES Fights. I said CES Boxing before, but you can get tickets at CESfights.com. And listen, support my man Hogan and Frank the Tank Hogan. And also, don't forget, Amelia Moore is the co-main event on that card. And you guys know we love Amelia Moore, and she's fighting for her first title on that card as well. Okay, boys and girls, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.